my name is Claudia Barrán. I am a director of production and distribution at Adapt Entertainment. I also graduated from NYU's film school, and I'm about to start my MBA at USC. So how did I get here today? I think that's kind of a long story, but just to take it all to the beginning, I always knew that I was interested in so many things that it just never seemed to fit in one little box. And growing up in Uruguay, film was always something that was totally out of reach for me. I never even thought that that was a possibility. So in high school, I was juggling with like every career possible because I was just interested in every single thing, but nothing seemed to quite fit until one day I was just talking to my grandma. And she told me that she was gonna do a film course. And it was just very much a light bulb moment of, that's a possibility? Like, what do you mean? And so that really prompted me to look into studying film and which countries that made more sense in, because in Uruguay, it's very much, the film industry is very much non-existent. So I started looking, into the US schools that did film. And I was the only person in my entire school that applied outside of the country in the US. And in Uruguay, the way you apply to schools is very different. You just enroll and that's it. There's nothing more to it. So I was the only person in my entire class just, juggling, trying to figure out what the SATs were and, all these extra things of getting a college counselor. I would go up to every professor and be like, do you think you can help me out with this? But luckily, and after a lot of work, I got into NYU, where I studied cinema studies. And there I also minored in producing and business of entertainment. And the thing is that I always felt like I was playing catch up, right? Because I was coming from a background where studying in the US was already something that felt super foreign, let alone film. The industry, it always felt like a unicorn, something that was very much out of reach. So I actually really enjoyed feeling like I was behind because it really motivated me to just try to pursue as many opportunities as I could, try to learn as much as I could, like even during my extra time. So my first experiences were really just student films, and my major didn't require me to be on student films, but I just put myself out there and I started producing, very, very loosely my freshman year, but also doing special effects makeup, which really allowed me to be in the middle of the action of going every single weekend to a different student shoot. But after that, I realized that I really wanted more of a, internship experience. So my first ever internship was at this company called Cinema Tropical, which is very much all about promoting Latin American cinema in the US. And that really got me thinking about what my true passion in film was and in the entertainment industry. And it is very much a global view of connecting, I guess the US, but the rest of the world, just that interconnection and that free flow of stories and content around the world. And that was my first exposure to that. And then my next two internships were at the Cannes Film Festival. I did it May 2018 and May 2019. And those were some of the two greatest experiences of my life. But after that, I really wanted to do something during the school year and really start trying to get my foot in the door and see what types of jobs and day-to-day internships I could get. And so my junior year, I took a class with Evan Shapiro, and then I was looking for internships and I just approached him and asked him if he had anything, because his class was very much real world entertainment industry. And he just was really insistent on making sure everyone knew how important getting internships was, and not just this, I guess, loose idea of film school that a lot of people have, which is, just not what worked for me. And I really resonated with that idea of just having something and and just really getting to experience what the entertainment industry was like. And so I started interning with him in 2019 at National Lampoon, which is where he was at the time. And then we transitioned. I just stayed with him at his company that he's still at now, eChef. And there I, did that all through the pandemic, which was really interesting because it was very much trying to adapt to a new situation. And with that, my role also changed in the company. I started off as his assistant, and then I was more of a creative development person, and then producer, then I was editing, a little bit of everything. And it was just incredible life experience and exposure. And after that, I came back to Uruguay after my extra year of school. And I started working at this company called Adapt Entertainment. And Adapt Entertainment is based a little bit all over, headquarters in Tel Aviv, offices in LA, Sydney, and now Uruguay too, I guess. And what this company is all about is a technology company that uses VFX to basically change the mouth and lip movements of actors to fit with dubbing or fit with a new language. Again, very much in line with my goals of connecting and breaking down the barriers of international content and just having that free flow of films and television series all around the world, which, I personally have always consumed international films. I do quotations because international is very, depends on who you're talking to. Because if you're in the US, Hollywood is not international. For me, it's always been international. But anyway, that very open, no barriers, access to content has always intrigued me. And I was very excited to just join that team and see how far we could take that and see if we could make that technology work. It does work. It's just whether or not the market will take it in. We think it will, but it's just been very, very exciting to navigate all that. So that's kind of what my trajectory has been so far. In terms of role models or people that I look up to or idolize, I am very much a person that will be constantly changing mentors, I suppose. And I have a really hard time relating to people that I don't know personally or, in the flesh. There's tons of filmmakers and people in the entertainment industry that I do look up to them, but because I think I am more attracted to, or I gravitate more towards, work ethic and just vision and the way that people navigate their immediate, obstacles and challenges. I think I've had a lot of different professors that I've looked up to that have really shaped the way that I understand the entertainment industry. And now more on a professional level, there's, a lot of the people that I'm working with now are, I just think they're just such incredibly talented. I have a hard time putting it into words, but I think they just challenge me. And I always feel like if you're in a work environment where you feel like you're, the smartest person in the room, you're just in the wrong work environment. I just love being constantly challenged and learning things. And sometimes when you're coming in as a, student, you want to try to, maybe your instinct is to not be that because you want to prove yourself. But I actually love allowing myself to just ask questions and be curious and really pick the brain of the people I'm working with, because, obviously they've had just much more experience than I have. And right now, just to name you, someone specific on our team, there's just everyone that is working directly with the technology of this AI and VFX just blows me away constantly. Just the way their minds work, which is very different because it's not purely creative, have just been blowing me away every single day. And I think that's very exciting, at least, for me, because it really makes it fun to go to work every day because I'm always learning something new, and it's always, you always get to bounce ideas off of the other person. What is my superpower? Whoa. I actually think, and this might not, this might be kind of funny now that I'm ranting a lot, but I think I am very good at consolidating and communicating, which might not be, this recording might not be the best example of that, but on my day-to-day life, I am very good at absorbing a lot of information and then just boiling it all down to what's important, which I think is a really useful power to just, and then to communicate with everyone else. So right now I am director of production and distribution, which means that I manage a lot of people, and I'm really the bridge between lots of different departments. And I've done that before as a producer on independent films or, music videos. And it really, I usually take it for granted, but so many people have said that to me that I will categorize it as a superpower right now. And then what makes me unique, and I think this is what makes everyone unique, is just that we all have such different backgrounds and experiences. And I know that I think sometimes it sounds like a cop-out when I say that in the US, because I'm, clearly coming from somewhere else. So it feels like, oh, okay, just writing it off to you come from a different place. But I believe that wherever you come from, even if someone's like, oh, I'm just from the middle of nowhere, nothing ever exciting happens here, that narrative, that's just, even that is such a vastly different experience than someone that lives, the other, around the world, anywhere else in the world. And I think people are very quick to shut down their own experiences and just don't make much of them. And especially when it comes to film, that whole idea of sharing the stories that you're passionate about, sharing things that are important to your community, and anything that relates to the human experience. I think that just trusting your instincts and trusting what you have lived through and what your perception of reality is, it's just the best, thing that you can bring to the table, because no one else is going to have that but you. And at the same time, it's great to just always keep an open mind to see what everyone else's experiences have been, and not just be, blindsided by everyone else and just think your experience is the best and your background is the best, but rather acknowledge that you have something totally 100% yours and unique, and no one can take that away from you. And you can learn from everyone else around you, and everyone will have a slightly different way of seeing things. And I think that's where the richest, arguments and content comes from. What impact do I want to make in the world? Right now, I am extremely passionate in finding a way to take and bring Uruguayan content and stories to the rest of the world. I think there's incredible storytellers here. There's incredible directors, actors, screenwriters, but there's no infrastructure right now to bring that to the rest of the world. And that is something that I would love to have a hand in.